It's been a long journey, 2.5 years in fact, to get to this point in March of 2024, where I can finally say, I am monetized. Hallelujah, hooray, hooray. It's happened. How has it happened? And what was the journey like to get from this point here over to here with 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time? I originally joined a really straightforward 10-week class with Matt Ragland, whom I love his content. He's known as the bullet journal guy, and he was running a particular workshop. I'd seen it advertised. I'm not sure whether I'd seen it on Facebook or YouTube, but he was advertising a simple program for a few dollars for 10 weeks, and I think about 15, possibly 20 of us signed up for that program from different parts of the world. A couple of us from the UK, Hi to You tour, and from the States. Most of the people were based in the States or Canada, and particularly from there, my friend Tish Bouvier, we have stayed in contact like Tor and I. And every week there was a short Zoom call with Matt hosting and just checking in with each of us on how we had recorded and uploaded, maybe how we had edited, possibly the theme we had chosen for our second or third or ninth video, until we had all of us each uploaded 10 very simple videos. My first 10 videos you can see here on this channel. Go back and watch them if you want. But I was just talking about my role as a writer, the basic things that I do on a regular basis to create a book, to produce a manuscript. And it was a brilliant little community in which I felt very bonded to several of the participants, like those I've mentioned, Tor and Tish. And for me, it was the first time ever I had stepped in front of a camera to talk about something I was passionate about, something that I was thrilled to be a part of, and in this case, the writing community. And to begin with, my channel was called Writing Life, because there is the process of writing as an author, as a creative person to produce that manuscript, but also it was the idea of recording life, writing about life, using something such as a journal and a pen to capture the ideas, to put them onto paper, and to be writing life in that sense, to record the process of what was happening in the course of a given day in our family life, how I was making my investment decisions in stocks and shares, my process as a landlord, my role as a dad and as a husband, all of this writing life as it happened. And it's been an amazing journey. In some videos, I know there are people who have beautiful silver or golden plaques on their shelves. I actually don't even know what those are for. I was going to say a silver plaque is for 100,000 watch hours or maybe 100,000 subscribers. I'm not sure, but I've never been in this for the money, as you will see when I discuss the earnings for this first week of being monetized. For me, YouTube has been a way to talk about the themes of some of my books, the Declutter Your Home, to look at budgeting and money with books like 10-Minute Budget and Climbing Out of Debt, or another book which sells slowly but I really like. It's called Simple Self-Help. I have a new book coming out fairly soon that will also be featured in several videos, just as I've used my YouTube channel to promote some of my books and to get closer to those of my readers who not only read on their Kindle or in a physical book format, but who also like that engagement of listening to me sometimes share about those book themes and the topics that I've dealt with inside each of those books. Just looking at a little note here, I see that I released my first ever video on the 20th of September 2021. So pretty much 2.5 years ago. How long did it take me to get my subscribers to 1,000? Well, I'll come to that in a moment. But in my first year, I had the grand total of 47 subscribers. So the idea that this was going to be a quick race, a short journey to receiving regular income from the ads that YouTube place on videos, that was never likely to happen, but also it wasn't part of my thinking. The idea was to talk about the books that I love to write, books that I've been reading and some of the book reviews I've done, and this general sense of writing life. I've dealt with my move from England to Mexico City. I've dealt with some of the changes in my family life. I've explored the ideas that were significant to me and my sons in making the decision to move not to Belgium, not to Spain, but to Mexico. And I've dealt with some of the aspects of working as a part-time writer, as a part-time landlord and property investor, and the way that the income from things such as rent supports my writing activity and my writing goals by giving me the space to have a writing studio, for example, here, and to do those things which are important to me as a creative indie, i.e. as a person who perhaps earns income from several different sources, such as rental investment, stocks and shares investment, index funds, private equity, and income from books and courses, such as, for example, the courses that I have on Skillshare. All of these come together, and perhaps they influence to some extent the financial themes that I talk about when I'm not talking about the process of coming up with the ideas for a book, drafting those ideas into a structure, and writing the book into a first draft manuscript. So a whole year to 47 subscribers, of course that's not going to win you or me any prizes for speed. But I do remember the Aesop's fable about the tortoise and the hare, and the tortoise got to the end of the racetrack over his own time. After 2 years, I'd reached the grand total of 260 subscribers. I was so overwhelmed by that because it was 5 times in the second year what I'd managed in the very first year, from 47 to 260. But still, in September last year, September of 2023, there was absolutely no sense of monetization, and I didn't really understand the process of becoming a YouTube partner. I was starting to look at what those criteria might be after a couple of years, and I saw that I needed the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. That was such a long way off. The idea of the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 hours of watch time coming together, it was difficult to conceive of. It was difficult to grasp how that would be possible if over the course of 2 years I had reached 260 subscribers. The money here has not been the important issue. It's that sense of community, that connection with those of you who take the time to comment on a video. This is a simple video, I know that. I'm shooting it on a Monday afternoon on the top floor of the house in the little study I've got before the other door goes out onto the roof garden here. But some videos will take me 10 or 14 hours to edit, and yet might only receive 100 views over the course of 3 or 4 months. There is no way to determine what a video will do, who will receive it well, who will ignore it. But of course, you never know who ignores your videos because you only see the views and the partial views. One of the things that I've found really helpful now that I have achieved monetization last week is seeing a whole range of stats and dashboard pages that I was unaware of before because you don't have access to them until the point that you get monetized. And I can now see that some videos for an RPM or revenue per meal being from the Latin for 1,000, I can now see that some videos I've got earn 20 cents per 1,000 views, and yet others are earning $12, $13, $14 per 1,000 views. On the 18th of December, I had 340 subscribers, so it had gone up by 80 in the course of 3 months. It was the end of January, the 28th of January, that I reached 700, so the channel doubled between mid-December and late January. On the 13th of February, it had gone up to 826 subscribers, and then on the 18th of February, 1,000 subscribers. There have been 2 videos that many of you have responded to and really enjoyed. The first of those was on the 19th of December, and I took the time to take my journal for the year and talk about how I use a very simple bullet journal process to capture a week over 2 pages, to capture my month in advance, which I write out by hand at the end of each month, ready for the month ahead, The title of that video was Your Daily Notebook for Clarity, Purpose and Happiness. That video, as at the moment, has more than 20,000 views in less than 3 months. On the 13th of February this year, 1 week shy of 2.5 years on YouTube, I recorded my second video that's had a lot of views called My Everyday Carry. And basically it was a few minutes talking about the role that this bag has had in my life. I didn't go into huge detail about it, but I talked about what's in it, what I can carry inside it, and how useful it is to me as an everyday carry. And the video about this gorgeous little bag has already had more than 24,000 views in less than 5 weeks. So that's how my channel blew up. What did I earn in terms of monetization? I received my notification of monetization 10 days ago, the end of the first week of March. Where am I now with that channel? So far, I've earned $9. Can I go out and buy myself the new Omega Speedmaster white dial? No, I can't. But can I go out tomorrow and spend $1.50 on coffee and a cake at my local coffee shop? Yes, I can. Can I go out and do that 2 or 3 days later and get myself perhaps an ice cold frappe and a beautiful sugar almond biscuit? Yes, I can. Can I go out for breakfast with my wife at the weekend? Yes, I can. And all of that is now covered by my YouTube AdSense program. Do I see the YouTube AdSense program, if it just continued at this level of a little bit over $1 a day, do I see that paying for our flights between England and Mexico twice a year? Those typically cost us about $700 to $800 each return ticket. So basically the answer on those is no. But that money for our family to pay for flights for our sons over to England or our sons in England back to Mexico, the income from that comes from something else. It comes from the one-to-one coaching calls, it comes from the manuscript reviews that are booked and sold basically as a result of having a YouTube channel. So the YouTube AdSense program, where you earn a small fee per 1,000 videos viewed within your back catalogue of videos that you take the time and the effort and the energy invested to create that content, that AdSense revenue, for me, it might continue to be $1 a day, and there's less than $400 in the course of a year. Playlists, I've discovered since being monetized, are actually really interesting because I can see which playlists people are tuning into and watching. And I can see sometimes that somebody has watched one of those videos seemingly 3 or 4 times in the space of an hour and a half or 2 hours. And my hope is that they've been transported into that beautiful 300-year-old library in the center of Mexico City with a fountain tumbling over in the courtyard, or that they've gone to a busy library in central Manchester in northwest England, and they're sitting with me in a coffee shop and just listening to the beautiful hubbub of noise and crockery and the steaming and frothing of coffee at the counter in a place where there is no background music, but you feel, if you're listening to something like that, that you are sitting in a place surrounded by other people whilst you get on with your manuscript and with the ideas that are significant to you. That sense of meaningful work that it comes from following your heart and doing something that's important. So I might get 3 or 4 cents from somebody watching that video, or I might get $1.50 from a bunch of people watching some of my budgeting or debt reduction videos. And over time, that is going to add up. Maybe it will become $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 a day, in which case that return air ticket is paid for as a result of adverts being played on my YouTube videos. With hindsight, would I have loved to have created 2 videos every single week for the last 2.5 years? Yes, of course I would, but my compass cards from Franklin Covey are a beautiful visual reminder sitting inside the current weekly page of my journal that my roles are first and foremost as a dad and as a husband, as a writer, as an investor and manager of rental property. With those 4 roles clearly understood and driving my activities and my points of focus, it's easy to see that YouTube has a very specific, valuable role in bringing on new coaching clients, new manuscript review services for new and fairly well-established authors, but also for keeping me on track with a sense of what do I want to talk about this week, what's happened that's important and goes either here in a video or influences something that goes in the weekly newsletter. YouTube has helped me with all of those. I don't think I really used YouTube much more than 2 or 3 months before I came across the Matt Ragland course that helped me get started, along with people like Tor and Tish. It was something alien to me. I wasn't using it as a search engine, but also I didn't realize what an amazing resource YouTube is for learning new skills. In the newsletter, for example, I'm using a piece of software called ConvertKit, which allows me to put out what they call a broadcast, and which you and I will call a newsletter. But over time, I can link that to some of my other books, which are not sold on the Amazon platform, but which can sell directly inside ConvertKit and be promoted inside or as part of a newsletter. But I had to look at the comparisons between different potential newsletter software to decide that ConvertKit was the one for me. Also, it goes back to that beginning with Matt Ragland, who used to work for ConvertKit. I didn't know that when I was on his course, and I didn't really have any awareness of ConvertKit as a resource for independent creators until perhaps a month ago, when I started to think, yes, it's probably time to start a newsletter. So there's my 6 pennyworth about how long it's taken me, 2.5 years, to get to the magic 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours required by YouTube for you and I to have monetization on our channels. Monetization is just a small aspect of it, because as I've said before, you can use your channel to reach an audience who might want your one-to-one services or your guidance on something else which is significant to them and is a part of the themes that you discuss and talk about within your particular channel. I've been amazed to receive $9 this last week and a bit from the indirect thing that is the YouTube AdSense program, where you get paid for people watching adverts on your channel. By the way, that newsletter is now going to be a weekly process. So Nathan, thank you, because I raised the question, should this be monthly as I had originally thought and intended? I know that you're watching from Uruguay or Argentina or Peru or Northern Canada or Northwest Oregon. I can see that you're subscribing from Italy and South Africa and from a little town in the north of Yorkshire. And it shows me that this little channel here is one route into some of those things you're keen to learn more about, and things which attract you, whether they are the fountain pen or the everyday carry wrist bag. It doesn't matter. We're in this little community as one unified body. Let's keep doing the things that we enjoy. I will keep sharing the content that I can create once a week and put out a regular newsletter. I hope that works for you. Certainly, it excites me to know that I can put information out in a way that is well received and which some of you are taking the time to acknowledge has been useful or entertaining or interesting to you. So thank you for persisting with me on this 2.5 year journey to being monetized here on YouTube by doing the things and talking about the things that I love. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.